everyone, my name is Hana Sundari. You are watching Tutorial TV Sociolinguistics and Language Teaching from Universitas Terbuka. Today, I'm going to discuss about intercultural communicative competence and the implications for language teaching. These presentations will be divided into 3 sections. The first is introductions. The second is the concepts of intercultural communicative competence, and the last is the implications of intercultural communicative competence for language teaching. Now, I would like to move on to the introduction. According to Kahru, the spread of English has been viewed as 2 diasporas. The verse involved immigrations of English speakers from the present British Isles to Australia, New Zealand, and North America. They came to the places with the resources of language. The language they brought with them changed over time. The second diaspora of English resulted from diffusions of English among speakers of diverse groups of people and languages across the world, because of colonialism and other political and economic factors. Kahru introduced the 3 cycles concept of world Englishes to classify the uses and the users of English internationally. The first is the inner circle. It comprises the old variety English using countries where English is the first or dominant language. English is used in an extensive sense in any public discourse, such as media, government, education, and creative writing, though other languages surely are spoken. These countries are including United Kingdom, United States of America, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. The second is the outer circle. It involves the earlier phases of spread of English in non-native settings, where the language has become part of a country's institutions and plays an important second language role in a multilingual setting. It includes Singapore, India, Malawi, and over 50 other territories such as the Caribbean and the Philippines. This circle spreads the language through colonizations in Asia and Africa. The outer circle countries and regions now routinely characterized as English using. Then the third, the expanding circle. This circle represents those nations which recognize the importance of English as an international language, though they do not have a history of colonializations by members of the inner circle, nor have they given English any special administrative status. English in this circle has a various role in public life and is widely used for more specific purposes, such as in higher education, in science and technology, and in restricted personal domain. The countries include China, Indonesia, Korea, Japan, and Nepal. Nonetheless, it may be changing as more and more nations in Europe and Asia are adopting to introduce English at early stage of school. Regarding to the spread of English, Kandia stated there is an inherent contradiction. People realize that they need to learn English for their purposes. On the other hand, they feel afraid that the need to use English in many situations and functions will threaten their own language, cultures, and ways of thinking. However, Kahru argued that local Englishes reflect local cultures and way of thinking. In fact, nowadays, English has been spoken for communications between non-native speakers and non-native speakers for different countries around the world for many purposes. At the same time, they not only communicate through English, they have also shared their own local cultures and value from the place they come from. Therefore, they need to be aware of other cultures of the interlocutor. Now, I'd like to turn to the concept of intercultural communicative competence. The idea of intercultural communicative competence, or ICC, was derived from the concept of communicative competence by Dale Hymes. As Mugan stated, intercultural communicative competence is an extension of language communicative competence which takes account of the intercultural aspect of viral language use. ICC refers to an individual's ability to navigate within a given society appropriately. To be more detailed, individuals are able to use appropriate gesture, understand the unspoken meaning in words, appreciate the cultural underpinning in any communications, and make appropriate cultural references to aid understanding. Competence in intercultural communications requires the active knowledge of both his own culture as well as the target language culture. Young and Sercombe stated that ICC is a dynamic process by which they are familiar, but also those they may not typically be associated within their interactions with others. It is the ability to effectively and appropriately perform communications for desired answer in a particular situations. According to Byram, a competent person with developed ICC is able to build relationship while speaking in viral language, communicates effectively, taking into consideration his own and the other person's viewpoint and needs, mediate interactions between people of different backgrounds, and strive to continue developing communicative skills. Derdov concludes that intercultural communicative competence is the ability to communicate effectively and appropriately in intercultural situations based on one's intercultural knowledge, skills, and attitude. Intercultural competence and intercultural communicative competence are slightly different. Byram concluded the different points among these two items. Then, Galante listed the core components from numerous conceptual models of ICC are as follows. The first, attitude, respect for other cultures, willingness to learn, openness to people from other cultures, willingness to suspend judgment, willingness to tolerate ambiguity, and valuing cultural diversity. Second, skills. Skills of listening to people from other cultures, skills of interacting with people from other cultures, skills of adapting to other cultural environments, linguistic, sociolinguistic, and discourse skills, including skills in managing breakdowns in communications. Skills in mediating intercultural exchanges, skills in discovering information about other cultures, skills of interpreting cultures and relating cultures to one another, skills in critically evaluating cultural perspective, practice, and products, including those of one's own culture. The third is knowledge, cultural self-awareness, communicative awareness, especially of the different linguistic and communicative conventions within different cultures, culture-specific knowledge, especially knowledge of the perspective, practices, and product of particular cultural groups, and general cultural knowledge, especially knowledge of process of cultural, societal, and individual interactions. And the fourth, behaviors. Behaving and communicating effectively and appropriately during intercultural encounter, flexibility in cultural behavior, flexibility in communicative behavior, and having an action orientations to enhance a good common through the reductions of prejudice, discriminations, and conflict. Now, I would like to move on to the implications of intercultural communicative competence for language teaching. Concerning to ICC Environ language classroom practices, it is written that ICC refers to activities related to behaviors and speech patterns, such as appropriate choices for conversation topic, opening and closing a conversation, criticizing and complaining, stereotyping, and reacting to cultural shock, personal space restrictions, and nonverbal communications. Kanagaraja mentions that non-native English-speaking teachers or non-NES constitute about 80% of total English teachers in the world. Therefore, English language teachers should be able to accomplish at least 3 things: knowing about how to use the target language, knowing about how to teach in a culturally sensitive way, and knowing about how to behave in a target culture. Baumik conclude that setting a uniformity target variety for instructions in the aspect of curriculum design and material development, language testing, and teacher training is almost impossible. Thus, the implementations of the concepts, theories, and practices in English language education must take into account social context. Some experts examined pedagogical settings across the 3 circles. They stated that the inner circle, better preparations for teacher, is needed to promote a world English perspective for all the circles they might teach. Using Pakistani English pedagogical setting as the outer circle, it can be inferred that Pakistani English is more acceptable as a variety of English among Pakistanis. In the other word, outer circle pedagogical context must understand this ideological shift and move beyond an inner circle definitions of professional identity and practice. Meanwhile, the other found in Mexican context as expanding circle, it is need of local context in designing materials. Well, that's about it for now. We have talked about intercultural communicative competence and the implications for language teaching. See you again on the next section, and thank you for watching.